A worldwide drug treatment program that has denied its affiliation with the Church of Scientology faces new scrutiny tonight. Channel 2 Action News has uncovered documents that tie Narconon of Georgia to the controversial church. In part 3 of our investigation, Jody Fleischer here with what the program fought for years to keep secret.
Justin, the records show the Georgia program director knew staff were drinking and doing drugs with patients. But whistleblowers tell us the focus was on image, not on fixing the problems. And that the church really uses Narconon to make money and recruit vulnerable addicts into Scientology.
Is it what it pretends to be? Absolutely not.
Lucas Catton says he knows the Narconon drug treatment program better than almost anyone. He went through it as a student, then rose to become president of the flagship Arrowhead facility in Oklahoma.
Narconon is essentially, it is Scientology.
From the start, patients are given megadoses of vitamins like niacin. So much the state requires they sign a consent form acknowledging health risks. Addicts spend roughly 5 hours a day in a sauna intended to rid their body of drug toxins. And they study communication techniques written by Church of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard.
They did weird things. You had to get to different levels.
Colleen Desmond is suing Narconon of Georgia after her son Patrick died while enrolled there. Records show he got drunk with his housing monitor, then used heroin for the first time. Her attorney questioned Narconon's medical director under oath.
Did you know you were listed as their medical director?
I don't know. All I know is that I was hired by them to do the physicals on their patients.
Did you ever visit the sauna?
No.
Did you ever visit the Narconon facility?
No.
There's no truth to say except we're helping people.
But Narconon's executive director, Mary Reeser, knew of problems. In this internal memo, she wrote about a bad situation at housing, and she felt the students were in danger.
It was pretty common knowledge that the Narconon here in Georgia was very disorganized, that there was a higher incidence rate of drug and alcohol use within the facility by the students.
Within days after Patrick's death, a memo was sent from Narconon of Georgia to the OSA, which is the Church of Scientology.
I have arranged for a minister to come. He is not going to flap PR-wise, wrote Reeser. Catton says that means wouldn't create a public relations problem.
That's not just the connection, that it is a direct channel. I've never seen anything like this public before now.
I am a Scientologist. Okay, that's my church. But they don't have, they don't manage here.
You sent this letter to the national church advising them of Patrick's death within the days after his death. Why?
Well, I'm not going to speak to why I did that, but that's not a governing body for me. And if that is my church. So I don't know, if I'd been a Baptist, I might have told my church.
Why don't they just say this is Scientology?
Because people won't come, and there's not enough money in it. So if you try and legitimize it in the public eye as much as possible, then it is easier to be able to get more money, more recruits.
He says the church gives recruits who've gone through Narconon credit for the communication and sauna sessions they've already finished. Patrick's mom says she had no idea.
How could they do that to young people? How could they do that to families?
Addicts and their families have told us they paid between $15,000 and $30,000. Catton left the Church of Scientology and his job with Narconon more than a year ago. He says when he was there, the U.S. program was bringing in about $1 million a week in revenue.
Oh, that is something. And Jody, did he say that as a result of your investigation, he expects any changes?
Well, you know, he didn't know for sure because he's out of the church now, but I can tell you we have already noticed Narconon International changed its website since our stories started airing. The state is also considering some changes. I'll have much more on all of that coming up tonight at 6.
And it just keeps going, Jody. Thank you very much. And be sure to visit WSBTV.com. Click on this. More fallout tonight from our investigation into a Scientology-linked drug treatment program. Since our first stories aired Monday, Narconon International has changed its website to stop claims that the Georgia facility offers long-term residential treatment. Channel 2 investigative reporter Jody Fleischer here with other changes we could see.
Justin, Georgia's Narconon program is only licensed for outpatient treatment. That means none of the patients or their families should believe they are getting residential care. But the state has failed to take any action after a dozen complaints. The family of a patient who died hopes that will now change.
Across the country, internationally, I would love to see every Narconon shut down.
From parents grieving the loss of their son,
I don't know how safe clients are, even to this day,
to former NARCONON employees and whistleblowers.
It's extremely irresponsible to not shut at least the housing down.
Demands for action.
It's shocking to me that if you have multiple reports that you're not going to have a government agency say where there's this much smoke, there must be a fire.
But the head of Georgia's Department of Community Health says a dozen complaints and even NARCONON advertising itself as a long-term residential facility was not enough proof in the past.
I think this was a close call, holding themselves out as a residential treatment center versus actually running one. I think was an important distinction legally.
He says he would consider asking legislators to include drug rehab facilities in last year's expansion of Georgia law, toughening regulations on nursing homes.
I think it's always good to take a look at things. I would not rule that out.
But he points out state investigators do not have subpoena power and are often left to rely on facilities being truthful.
Maybe this is one of the fundamental things that could come out of this case. They don't have a whole lot of teeth to deal with these drug and alcohol facilities that aren't being candid with them.
NARCONON's executive director says she never lied to the state and that all of her patients signed documents acknowledging the outpatient treatment.
Why on earth am I going to create some kind of scheme? Oh, let me create some kind of plot so I can help you. It's ridiculous.
But profitable. Colleen Desmond says she spent $30,000 at NARCONON only to have her son Patrick die while enrolled there.
Unbelievably angry. How could this go on? How could the state of Georgia let this go on?
She says Mary Reeser told them and Patrick's drug court administrator the program was residential. Reeser says now she asks every client.
It's been a change that I've made since I realized that people lie, that they have a court order that I never saw, and then they lie as though I saw it.
NARCONON International has now changed its website to no longer specify whether Georgia's program is residential or not.
It's an issue that we're going to be looking at, and I think there are a lot of facets, both within licensing and in terms of other areas like fraud. Licensing doesn't regulate fraud.
In my experience, generally, fraud would be grounds for revocation of a license.
Healthcare attorney Brian McAvoy says more investigation is needed, but Reeser is confident her program will prevail.
Even when you leave here, I'll walk out there and I will still be helping people. And I will still have people say, if it weren't for NARCONON, I would be dead.
Tonight, we continue to get calls and emails from patients, former patients, and their families, all expressing concern about Georgia's NARCONON program. We will continue to follow all of those leads and update you when the state completes its current investigation, opened as a result of the evidence we presented. Justin?